We were pretty famous back in high school. Trust us!
Had a whole future ahead of us, but now we suck.
All that potential now is flowing in the aqueducts.
Through the sands of time, many did forget.
But now our time has come to resurrect. But a podcast?
Sad I know, but can you blame us?
We are desperate to be much more than high school famous.
Hello and welcome to High School Famous, a podcast where we will probably talk about high school, but hopefully we won't.
Hopefully we will not.
We probably, and it's getting to the point where we can probably take the probably talk about high school off because it's more likely that we won't talk about it than we will.
Well, if we want to, we're less likely to talk maybe about our high school, but in order to maintain our spot on this coveted list that we're on, we should insert something about high school in general to remain high school related.
I mean, how worried are we about being on that list? And the list is already out there, so it's not like they can recant that particular list. I mean, they could put out new list.
We could just be disappointed. We could just be disappointed if we are not included on a future revision of the list.
Right.
Yeah,
but if we choose to be disappointed.
So, I told you the guy emailed me asking to include that in one of our posts, right?
Right.
I not only included it in a social media post, but we mentioned it on our last Sunday's recording.
Right.
And I let him know, and then he emailed back again saying, please include it in your show notes. And I'm like, no, I don't care enough about this list to do all that work for you.
Right. Sorry, dude, but
you got what you got from us.
Until we were on that list, I had never even heard of this website anyways.
Me either.
So basically what he's doing at this point is trying to get us to promote his website.
That's what it's turning
for free
into.
Because he somehow picked us to be on a list based solely on the name of our podcast.
Most likely. I you know what? If I do email him again, which I doubt I will, but I should ask what criteria did we meet to make this list of his? Right. Because that'd be interesting if he even has an answer. I bet you it is just the title.
Oh, guarantee. Because if he would have listened, I guess if he would have listened to the first episode and possibly the second episode, because the second episode didn't really have to do with high school. It was just based off of the year our high school was founded.
Right.
But since then, most of the high school talk at this point has been so few and far between.
I know, even the guests that we've had on, which the audience has only heard one so far, but we've had a couple guests from high school, and we didn't talk about high school when they were on.
Right.
We talked about other stuff. I don't know.
Yeah.
This debate right here could maybe count as talking about high school, I guess. It's saying that we haven't talked about high school.
Yeah, sure.
ACTs, pep rally, swim class, lunch tickets.
Homecoming.
All right, yeah. Okay, that's enough.
Nailed it. We hit our quota for the week.
Yeah, I got to save some stuff for next week. I think I'm running out of high school things.
We're already running low.
There's not much left. We're gonna have to start recycling some of these.
Next week we just say all the same ones.
Yeah, we should just insert the pre-recorded.
List.
Yeah.
So be ready for that to never happen. All right. Hey, guess what? It is time for bad news.
Bad news. All right.
Yeah, I left enough of a space in there to put the little song. All right.
Did we? I don't think we did, but anyway.
It doesn't matter.
As I was scolded last time, the magic of editing doesn't require us to leave sound.
Yeah,
leave
it does.
Space
It does make it. It does make it just. It makes it a tiny bit easier.
Sure, that's what I was going for. But
it was just funny that we don't have to, but it does make it slightly easier.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bad news. Bad news. I can't remember or care who went first last time. So
I don't know. I can go first, I guess.
Sure, go first, Sean.
All right. Okay, this is my news, everyone. Hey, we don't talk about high school here much.
I forgot. Oops.
So I thought maybe I would tell a real coming-of-age story about high school today. Wow, this could not have been set up more perfectly. This happened about midway through senior year, early 2001. So this one particular day, I woke up feeling more gross than usual. I got out of my sleeping pile and built up the courage to look into the mirror. I picked out my least dirty clothes, washed up with my least oily rag. brushed my teeth with my least hair-filled brush. Oh, so I use a hairbrush. And went outside where my best, most amazing friend and fellow podcast host at the time, Matt, was waiting to pick me up for school.
I think you're just, reiterating that it's me and not some other Matt.
Not some other... Oh, sure.
Yeah. I appreciate that, by the way.
Yeah, you've earned it.
Cool. Keep reading.
Even though you never picked me up for school ever. That would have really stupid
apparently
to pick me up for school.
Apparently I did.
Yeah. Oh, you're right. I did. You did. Never mind. In this particular day, anyway, I was feeling real down about myself as usual, and Matt was there to make me feel really great about myself. Always knowing what to say, always so supportive, and handsome as hell.
Oh, wow.
I mean, I was you've earned it. I mean, I was a mess, and Matt was so together. I didn't deserve him as a friend, but he never made me feel like I was less than him, even if it was obvious that I was. Like, super obvious. You guys gotta understand, I was gross. I mean, I had to rate my rags from worst to less, or most to least oily.
Right.
I mean, if that doesn't say gross, I don't know what does.
For the record, Chad's doing some ad-libbing.
A little off the cuff on that one. Okay. I needed to save this bit. We got to school and Matt... We got to school and Matt told me to have a great day because I deserve it. I told him that he might be the best and most amazing person I have ever met, but he sure didn't know what I deserved. The day was going pretty normal until the most amazing thing happened that changed my life forever. Matt came over to me just before last period, looking like the majestic, beautiful, and well-hung man that he is. He held out his hand and gave me the one thing I didn't know I had needed all along. I opened my hand and saw...
What'd you see?
A pair of matching friendship amulets.
Amulets?
Yeah.
And why were these the one thing that you didn't know you had needed all along?
Well, I don't think anyone ever knows that they need an amulet.
Right, probably not.
I don't think anyone could anticipate that when you're down hard on hard times, that an amulet can bring you back up to the surface.
Are you in the ocean? If only all those people in the Titanic had amulets.
They're floating amulets. They're
could have used them as
flotation devices. And they're also they can generate their own heat source. So
nice.
They might have been able to survive in the freezing water.
Yeah.
I mean, I was coincidentally in the ocean trying to recover some lost amulets that are not related to these amulets because the ones I was looking for don't float.
That's what you were doing when I gave you the amulets?
Yeah. So you
were in the ocean just before last period?
Yeah. I took that elective.
Oh, okay.
Deep sea learning. It's a deep sea learning elective.
Oceanography?
Oh, well, yeah, sure.
Our school was terrible. They just called it deep sea learning.
Yeah, but yeah, I don't know, and I knew that took a lot of effort from you because you always prided yourself in having very dry clothes.
Oh yeah.
And to meet me in the ocean. Why? We're traveling to the ocean to take an elective. Our school is nowhere near an ocean.
Oh god, no. That's why I was confused by the fact that you were in the ocean when I gave you amulets.
Yeah, you gave me both amulets.
Well, I mean, they were both in my hand.
You presented the amulets.
Because I wanted you to pick which one you wanted to wear. Did you want the one that said best or the one that said friends?
Well,
I knew you really liked the show Friends. So I figured that's probably the one you were going to take.
Well, and I knew that you deserved the one that was called best because that could be applied to a lot of things.
Right.
About you, as I made point to mention in this news story. Yeah. I mean, I would have liked to have had the one that said best on it.
Right.
Because I was hoping. I was hoping that if you
go ahead.
Yep. Go ahead. I was hoping that if you, like, if I had the Friends amulet, I was hoping that if you flipped it over, it would say best on the other side, and I can just sort of make it. I could choose how I was feeling on the day.
Oh, right.
But yeah.
No, because I do remember. I mean, it makes sense that you wanted me to have best because I do remember when nominations were going out for yearbook, you did do a write-in vote for best hung, and you wrote my name in for that. So
Yeah. Now, I never asked this about your amulet, but when I looked at the back of my amulet, it had a picture of Pol Pot. So who was on the back of your amulet?
Who was on yours?
Pol Pot, a murderous dictator. I think he was in Cambodia. I wanted to say someone that wasn't Hitler because that's kind of the standard go-to for murderous dictators. So who is the other half of of the best friends amulet pair? Who is pictured on the back of your amulet?
Joseph Stalin. I have no idea.
Okay. Oh, I didn't think they were friends.
Well, I just wanted to pick somebody that like it was who resembled us the most. So I know you looked a lot like Pol Pot, and
clearly, since you don't even know who it is.
Yeah. Well, I mean, just because I don't know who he was, it doesn't mean I don't know what he looked like if I compared him to you looking like him.
I see. You saw the picture.
I saw the picture.
You saw the two
pictures,
like and you said, okay.
Yeah.
That's fair. Yes, he was a Cambodian revolutionary.
Did you literally just Google that while we were talking so that you could pick somebody other than Hitler? Or have you been researching mass murdering dictators for a while now?
No. I mean, I've already pretty much learned all I can.
Oh,
I've studied them up. Yeah, I've stopped studying them for a long time because there's really nothing.
Point where, yeah, you hit a dead end, and you're just like, well, we need another murderous dictator soon, or my thesis is over.
Right. Yeah. I mean, if I were to meet any of these fellas in person, I would be able to tell them more about themselves than they probably know. But no, I had by some strange chance looked up and came across this fella in the past. Oh. I just now Googled him to confirm that he was from Cambodia.
Okay. I'm concerned about what you've been studying and looking up and Googling recently.
Well, I mean, you're not coming forward with what you're Googling, so how can I know how concerned I should be about you?
The last thing I Googled was funny questions. It's a funny questions to ask list. And let me tell you, if anybody's ever thinking about looking up funny questions to ask somebody, like if you're going to go out on on a first date or something, and you're just like, oh, I want to come up with some fun questions to ask somebody, do not look on the internet for funny questions to ask people, because these are dumb.
Yeah. I mean, unless you're really aiming.
Yeah, I literally found one question that was kind of ridiculous enough to bring up at some point.
I guess if you're aiming to not get past the first date, like if you're not looking for a date number 2, go for it.
Right.
Even pull it out on a printed piece of paper. Like, like these are what I prepared to ask you.
I'm gonna write that sentence down quick.
All right. Well,
pull it out on a printed piece of paper. Sorry, that's just out of context. Out of context. That's a great sentence.
It's one way to present your motives.
Right. Well, let's move on.
Let's dive into your news, mister.
Yeah. So, let me preface this by saying I'm not nuts, okay? But I don't think I can trust my muscles anymore. Check it. Because I'm hip, right?
Check it.
Yeah. I was walking on top of the sidewalk a couple of days ago, and I saw my neighbor had left his aquarium outside again. It was full of little fish and water and stuff. All of a sudden, my legs just started sprinting towards it. Then my left leg just started raising up above the aquarium. My foot was all like, yo, you seeing this? I was like, yeah. Then my leg stomped my foot in the aquarium and kicked the water all around. It toppled down the little fish castle and ruined my fly new BK nights, my British nights.
Come on, you remember that.
Well, the left one anyway. Once I got home, my mom wanted to Skype me because we don't have iPhones. This is true. And in the middle of the video call, when she was telling me how much she loves my skin, that is creepy, I turned back around to face her and flipped her the birds, both of them. I joked that I was flipping off my phone and not her because she had already fainted.
But she had already fainted. All right. Then, at breakdance rehearsal with my crew, check it. Instead of closing with my usual inverted air flares,
I did the inverted cabbage patch while pissing on my crew. Now, I'm known for doing all this crazy stuff anyway, but I swear it wasn't me this time. It's these friggin' muscles, man. I'm telling you. It wasn't even me reading this news thing. Ow. I just did a sit-up.
Wow.
Sit-ups do hurt.
Your muscles.
Yeah, I did just one sit-up, too.
Yeah.
It's just the one.
But it wasn't you. It
wasn't
those
me.
Muscles.
Yeah, sorry. My muscles my muscles did one sit-up.
Ugh.
You know, not having your muscles just control you could be a decent thing. Like your muscles are just going to work out your body for you.
I mean, that'd be cool, but
yeah, I can just kind of like turn my mind off to something else, and my body just starts like doing all the workouts. Then I don't have to like pay attention to making sure I'm doing it, or worrying about the fatigue I'm going through because my body's just going to keep doing it.
Oh, I wonder how would that work? Would you get tired? I mean, if your muscles are doing it
right
without you doing it,
I think
you would probably
just be in the pain. You
would still get
nothing
tired.
you could do about it.
Yeah. So
how
would that be good?
Agonizing.
Yeah, I would hate that.
Especially like so you do like your body does this really big crazy workout one day.
Yeah,
right?
like P90X style.
So then the next day you wake up, you are sore. So obviously the best thing you can do is kind of work those muscles out again to loosen them back up. But obviously it's very hard and it hurts when you do it. But your body's just like, well, we're doing this, and you just have to take it. Like every agonizing bit of that workout, you just have to take it. Like you feel all the physical exertion of it, but you're unable to stop yourself from doing it.
I think you'd eventually have to
Kill yourself.
murder your I was gonna say murder your muscles when they're not looking when they least expect it, or when they're not when they're at rest and they're not.
How are you going to do that?
it.
How are you going to do that if you have no control over your muscles?
I know.
I'd say you have to hire a hitman, but you can't even do that because you're not going to be able to pick up a phone and dial a hitman.
Yeah,
you'd have to somehow try to find a hitman in passing while your body's working out, like you're jogging down the street. Kill me.
I mean,
kill me.
Would you? You couldn't even like subtly signal that you're in distress with your eyes or anything. You couldn't do anything.
Yeah.
Now you would just have to hope that your muscles slip up and they give something away, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there's some involuntary stuff that would take place. Like you'd probably eventually tear up, right?
Probably.
Like your muscles couldn't prevent that from happening.
I wouldn't think so, because I don't think your tear ducts aren't any sort of
not
muscles fiber, are they?
I don't think so. But
here's the thing: you'd still have full control of your hands because there are no muscles in your hands. It's all tendons. That is fact. Look at that. If you didn't know that, you just learned something today. There is literally no muscle structure, muscles at all in your hands or fingers. Maybe like in your, I don't know if there are in your palms and stuff, but your fingers don't have any muscles.
What about your feet? Is that the same?
I would, you know what? That I'm not 100% sure on, but I would assume your feet would probably be the same thing. It's just, it's all tendons and stuff.
So you could potentially, if your arm didn't become wise to what you're doing, you could potentially write like a letter or a note asking for help. But if your arm catches wind of this, it's gonna like flail your arm all about, so you can't line up to the paper.
Or as long as you could text really well with just like one thumb, if you had a good grip on your phone, no matter what your arm starts doing.
True.
Through muscle memory, I guess tendon memory in this case.
Tendon memory.
You'd be able to at least text some sort of a message to somebody. Just saying, help, I have no control over my muscles.
Now, do your muscles let you pick up your phone?
Well, I mean,
would they let you pick your phone up? Maybe.
In that case, would they let you pick a pen or anything?
I know.
Because they're going to try to make you pick up weights. But you have complete control whether or not you actually pick anything up.
That's true.
All they can do is put your hand like near a weight.
So then there's lots your muscles getting frustrated because it's just aiming your arm toward a dumbbell and you're just like even without the shaking your head.
So
I'm not
stupid. It's like the dumbest conversation we've ever had.
I don't wanna.
Oh my god, my lack of sleep this weekend is working out well. That's how you communicate with your muscles. Your muscles are like, without verbally being able to do that.
Yeah, I mean, it would have to find a way to visually express that that you will pick up that dumbbell.
Yeah.
Well, that's some crazy news.
That was weird. Oh man. So, anyways, so the other day, my mom called me. And
Skype?
No, just a regular phone call. This time. But so she's been listening to the podcast.
Oh, okay.
And
Do we have feedback?
She's frequently been talking to me about the podcast. Like literally the last so many conversations we've had is literally her calling me or texting me, bringing up things about the podcast, which has been kind of funny. But she gave me some interesting news on the Uncle Rosco front.
No way!
Yeah, so she called me specifically to talk to me about Uncle Rosco.
Awesome.
So,
all right, what do we got?
So what she told me is, on her side of the family, there are 2 Uncle Roscos. One on her mother's side and one on her father's side. All right? So
it's on her side.
It's on her side, but
her mother's and father's side.
Yes. So on my grandfather's side, she told me specifically that Uncle Rosco was not dead at the time of sending the letter, which I felt was a piece of obvious information.
Wait, at the time of sending the letter or writing the letter?
Both, I guess.
Good to know. He was alive when he wrote it.
Yep. He is a great uncle. He is from France and never left France, so he always stayed in France. He was in a mental institution because the heirloom that he thought he had was the Excalibur sword.
Like the sword and the stone sword?
The sword and the stone sword. That's what he thought he had as an heirloom to give me. So he was in a mental institution at the time of writing and sending me that letter. So that's what he wanted to leave me, was the sword Excalibur.
Okay.
From his mental institution in France.
The French man thought he had in possession the sword that determines who will be the King of England.
Yes.
And so did he pull the sword from the stone?
That I don't know. My assumption with this story is, I mean, he was living in a mental institution, so he didn't actually have the sword, and clearly the sword was not a family heirloom.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, for some reason he thought he had in possession. So I don't know. I'm trying to figure out what sword he actually had.
Yeah.
In his mental institution.
And why was he allowed to have a sword there?
Yeah, exactly.
Is there is there a famous French sword, like some sword through the there's a legend.
Well, I don't know if there's got to be.
They're not big on their swords.
Let's have our vast group of listeners who give us constant feedback. Let us know.
So what's going to happen is your mom is going to make up some fake famous French sword and tell you about it.
Probably.
Because I'm going to report now that outside of this, I have received zero feedback from anyone.
I've gotten very little. I've gotten some, and it's mostly been from my mom.
So does that suggest you've gotten some from others?
I've heard various spatterings of just, I enjoy the bad news, or, that episode I liked when you had a guest on. That was really fun. Yeah, I've heard a little bit of that stuff. So yeah, that's Uncle Rosco on my grandfather's side.
Okay. Oh, so now you're going to talk about the other one.
So yeah, the other Uncle Rosco on my grandmother's side, he never left Ireland.
Okay, Ireland.
Okay.
Now.
Yeah, he was from Ireland. And the heirloom that he was going to try to leave is he found a pot of gold.
Ooh.
Yeah. But nobody has been able to find that pot of gold to confirm whether or not it truly exists. But that's what he had claimed to have.
Okay, so I have a question about the letter you received then.
Yes.
Where was it sent from?
That part I don't remember. I don't have the envelope anymore that it came in. So yeah, I don't recall whether or not it came from France or Ireland, or if it even came from either of those places, because he could have,
He never. Well, he never
neither
left,
of them ever left those two places. Yeah.
One. You're saying so one of them never left Ireland, and one of them never left France.
Right. He never left one of those two places, depending on which one he was.
You're talking about Rosco like it's one person.
Well, whichever Roscoe wrote the letter, he never left whichever place he was from.
Yes. Yeah, that makes more sense than he never left either of those two places.
Right. Well, I mean, that's also true.
So I think I think there's a legend of a sword that used to be stuck inside a pot of gold.
Oh, yeah?
And if you can remove it, you're king of the leprechauns.
Oh.
And that would make more sense in Ireland than in France.
Yeah, in France, they have a legend of a sword that was stuck in a baguette.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that was proven to be just...
Yeah,
that was proven to just... That was just being smuggled. That was proven to be...
Oh, no, they were just trying to cut the baguette, but it was a very hard baguette, and it just got slightly stuck. They did eventually get that one out.
How stale is that baguette that a sword can't cut through it?
It turned out it was a knife.
The problem with the sword that's stuck in the pot of gold is there have been plenty of attempts of by people to remove it, and many have been able to remove it somewhat, but none of them are tall enough.
Oh, I thought you were
to get it all the way out.
I thought you were going to say several people have removed it and then just kept putting it back.
Oh, what a fun sword!
It's also a pot of molten gold. It's not coins.
It's in a constant state of molten.
Yeah, it's just liquid gold at all times. But the metal that the sword is made out has a higher melting point than the gold does, so that the sword stays solid. Yeah,
right. It's a glorified indestructible stirring stick, basically.
Right, pretty much.
Yeah. Huh. So that's why nobody rules Ireland.
Yeah. It's also not it's not gold the metal, it's just actually a pot of honey. It's just molten honey.
It's golden crisp.
Oh. Nice segue.
Is that a segue?
No. We're going to talk about cereal now.
Yeah, we're going to cover Post and other cereal companies, General Mills.
We're going to do Post at the end.
Yeah. Well, we're going to do that once we make it seem like we're done.
Right. Yeah.
And then we're going to come back and
we're going to do Post and Post.
We're going to do Post after the fact. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
That was it. That's what I had to bring up today. I just had the Uncle Rosco update, which I thought I would never do.
I also thought you would never do.
Yeah. I was expecting to never do it.
I'm glad to hear a Rosco. Well, I mean, I don't know how much of this is from you or your mom, but
that is 100% not from me.
So technically, you could say that you still didn't provide a Rosco update.
Well, I mean, you
just relayed one.
Yeah, I'm second personing the Uncle Rosco update. But yeah, I was not expecting to give any of that. The funny thing is, so my mom calls me, and literally the first words out of her mouth are, "So there's actually 2 Uncle Roscos," and I'm just like, "Wait, what the fuck? Is this real?" She's like, "No," and she just made up the whole story. I'm just like, she literally had me believing for a second that there was literally 2 different Uncle Roscos, and I was like, so for a second I was just really taken aback by it, and then I was like, "Oh, all right, we're just bullshitting." She's like, "I just think it would be really funny for you to, do." I'm like, you know what? Sean would not expect me to bring an Uncle Rosco update to the show, so
I did not expect an Uncle Rosco update. I'm like,
so that'll be fun. I'll
awesome.
do it. So yeah, my mom is a contributing artist to the High School Famous podcast at this point.
Check it.
All
right. Well, I'm sure that the listeners are waiting with bated breath to have me read my letter that I wrote to Big Larry. For those that listened to last Tuesday's episode, I was recalling in the bad news segment, recalling a time where I visited Big Larry's Carnival and Whitewater Rapids Adventure Park. Woo! And if you don't remember, what we discussed was they decided to close down the Whitewater Rapids Adventure Park and only keep running the carnival portion, but keep the Whitewater Rapids Adventure Park as part of the name to try to draw in the same number of crowds each season. And so that was a big letdown for me, so I decided to write Big Larry a letter to try to convince him to reopen the Whitewater Rapids Adventure Park. And so I'm going to read the letter here now, and if any listener wants to give me any feedback on the letter or give me some suggestions on how to improve the letter, or if any of you are also former visitors of this establishment, you can give me suggestions about what you would like Big Larry to do to make changes and improvements to the park.
Right.
Okay, so it starts off, "Dear Big Larry, I'm a former season pass holder to Big Larry's Carnival and Whitewater Rapids Adventure Park. I say former because I am no longer satisfied with what the establishment has to offer. It's apparent that the main draw was the Whitewater Rapids Adventure Park. Why did you get rid of that portion? Park-goers used to come from all corners of the globe to experience the thrill of grease-fast water slides, your trademarked test tubing down the orange bubbling river, and your controversial Mew tanks, where people could get dunked after someone successfully hit the target, but then emerge with extra limbs or powers. You even had cute character-themed chemical eye wash stations that were required to be used after exiting anything containing water. It's sad because now newer generations will never get to experience the top-notch white, water, rapids, adventure, or park that used to be standard. All that's left is a tilt-a-whirl with way too much tilt and very little whirl, a ring toss steeped in conspiracy theories, a shooting gallery that the NRA labeled too gunny, and a less than impressive dart exhibit. You claim to have on display President Lincoln's darts, but the certificate of authenticity is just a napkin held up on the wall by a dart signed Big Lincoln. Also, I think your choice to turn down the offer from the three tenors to record a theme song for you was a real missed opportunity.
Oh, bravo, bravo.
The only unique and compelling draw left are your vast array of back-scratching booths. But even that has earned the park the title of causing more back bleeds than any other carnival, park, or Hungry Bear in the entire world. I would suggest requiring drug screening and background checks for all your creepy staff, a grand return of the Whitewater Rapids Adventure Park, and use actual water this time. Try offering some food and drinks from outside vendors. Even though you call it all-bean chili, there has to be other ingredients for it to be chili. And make the daily 12-hour lock-in optional. I feel that with these changes and some other improvements over time, will bring people all over flocking to Big Larry's once again. Your former regular, Bacon Bill.
Is that what you were known as in the?
He called me Bacon Bill.
Okay, so he'll know. He'll know who sent it.
Yeah, that was back when they used to have bacon in their chili.
Right, and before you changed your name.
Yeah. So again, if you guys think you have anything you want me to add to this letter before I send it off to Big Larry, let us know, and I'll review them and make any changes I deem necessary.
Right. I mean, I think it sounds great.
I think I covered most of the important things. I don't want to hit him with too much all at once because
right.
Anything more would probably be a little discouraging for him and shy him away from the idea of making any changes.
Right.
I'm a little worried about the background check for his creepy staff because I think it's just going to come back with the same result for everyone because I'm pretty sure they were all created in some sort of bunker located on the park premises.
Do you think they have any sort of background? Like, I feel like those kind of dudes would be 100% off the grid.
Like full foreground.
Yeah, no background. They're all foreground.
100% foreground characters.
Right, because if they were created somewhere, I mean, there's not going to be birth certificates. There's not going to be social security numbers.
There's not going to be any previous addresses listed.
Right. No fingerprints on file anywhere. They're not going to be, they're not going to have, they're not going to be chipped.
I mean, unless they had some kind of accident.
Right. When they went in to get neutered, they weren't chipped. Also, they can't be found if they run away from home.
Right. No tags. No ear tags either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They haven't been branded.
There's been no effort to identify these things at all.
I mean, they're leaving their DNA all over all the patrons.
Yeah.
By scratching their backs.
By scratching their backs. So I suppose we could take some samples.
And I mean, I'm sure they're dripping oily hair on people. Well, not the hair, but the oil from their hair is probably dripping. I mean, I'm sure that's what they use to, keep the backs moistened while they scratch them. Because you don't want to scratch a dry back. You want that back nice and moist. Yeah. Gotta be a nice moist back.
And they all kind of if they all spend a shift during the day with their heads kind of tilted over the gears inside the tilt-a-whirl just to keep it running smooth.
Yeah. I mean, that could contribute to the fact that it's got way too much tilt and way too little
enough whirl.
Not enough whirl.
Very, very little whirl.
Very little whirl.
Yeah. Huh. All right. Well, yeah, I'll give it a week. I'll give you guys a chance to put in your input, and then I'll send it off to Big Larry. And then I'll keep you guys updated if he ever responds back. If there's any kind of news article reporting the reopening of the Whitewater Rapids Adventure Park, then I'll keep you guys updated.
Yeah, I mean, right now, from what I can tell from like the most recent photos that have been taken out at the park, all it really, I mean, there's stagnant puddles of liquid still on that park from rain and whatnot. It's a mixture of water and mostly not water.
Are they bubbling?
Well, no, but it's at this point, that part of the park is just a mosquito breeding ground.
Oh yeah.
Which, you know,
gnats
which
too.
It's not great for the fact that you have all these mosquitoes who are attracted to blood, and you have all of these booths with people getting their backs scratched up, and, you know, blood. There's blood everywhere. This place is covered in blood.
Yeah, but
and
this
oil.
That could be good though, because then the mosquitoes wouldn't necessarily have to bite you to get blood.
True.
So this is an approach that might be effective that no other park is considering taking.
I mean,
they might be onto something.
At that point, all right. So Disney, I know you're listening.
Yeah, and I know you're desperate to reopen your parks. Are they open now? They're open now.
So what you do is, you know, to keep your patrons from getting bitten by bugs and things like that, you just got to put bags of blood everywhere, and the mosquitoes can go and bite the bags of blood, and then they won't be biting the people, and the people are going to be happier. They're going to stick around longer because they're not going to leave because the bugs are bothering them. I mean, this makes sense.
How long does blood last in the sun? Like, does someone have to go around and constantly swap out blood bags?
I mean, technically the blood will last forever. It's just a matter of what state is it going to be in.
Well, it would dry up eventually, and mosquitoes aren't going to go after...
I'd say it's still blood.
Right. So what I mean is, I guess, at what point is a mosquito going to turn away and dust off its hands?
Right. So, I mean, they probably
blood.
have to... I guess they would probably have to make sure they keep them in shaded areas. So that you'd have to probably build, like... I mean,
blood
I guess, yeah, blood huts. Special blood huts for all the blood bags to hang in. And then you'd have to just waft the smell out of the hut so that the mosquitoes know to go into the hut.
Yeah. I mean, their sense of smell is probably pretty strong. I don't know that you'd have to put in effort to have it spread.
Well, I think what would be smart, though, is you want the smell to spread because you want them to be attracted specifically to that area. Because if they're just flying around, they're just going to be like, well, there's a human here.
There's a human right there, right? Yeah.
You know? So, yeah, they'd have to waft the blood smell out into the park. I mean, they already pump smells out into the parks at Disney anyways to attract people to certain areas. This is fact. I'm not making this up. They do. They pump certain smells out, like especially around the food areas. And, well, I think certain parts of the park, like, I might be getting this slightly wrong, but I think in, like, Epcot, because I think Epcot is where they have, I'm talking specifically about Disney World, I guess, at this point. They have the specific areas that are dedicated to specific parts of the world, like there's a France and like Germany and stuff like that. And I think they pump certain smells that are more relative to those areas of the world in those parts of the park.
Oh, I mean, I get that.
As well as like in food areas, I think they pump certain food smells because it, you know, makes people more hungry and want to eat those foods and stuff. I'd have to look it up again, but there's definitely a thing about how they pump certain smells out into the place.
What would be awesome is if the food smell they're pumping out is never the food that they're serving.
Right. So
like they bring people in with the smell of corn dogs and pizza, but they never serve that.
Like, all we serve here is molasses.
Molasses cookies? No,
just molasses.
Just straight up molasses.
Just straight molasses on a stick.
Just pre-scraped molasses.
And that doesn't last long in the sun.
No. So they're working on molasses huts as well.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
But they can't be too close to the blood huts, because if people are gathering to the molasses huts to eat, the mosquitoes might skip past the blood huts and go for the people in the molasses huts.
Yeah, what's wrong with
We're solving Disney's problems.
The many problems Disney's have had in its years of existence. The bugs and molasses issues and the blood issues are the big ones. People are not trusting Disney right now. They're skeptical. They're nervous. They're not feeling safe and confident when visiting their parks. Right.
This will reestablish trust with the public.
I'm not arguing.
Blood huts
and molasses huts.
molasses huts. It's a sure thing.
Right. Because of all the different types of huts in the world, those are the two Disney's.
They have other huts, I'm sure. I've never been to either park.
Right.
Domestic. I don't know the difference between Disneyland or Disney World.
You've never
aside from, I guess, one has
Hold
Epcot.
on, you've never been to the domestic ones, but you've
I've been to Euro Disney and I don't know, Space Disney. I don't know.
Space
I was my brain was fishing for some obscure country that would not likely have a Disney park, but I couldn't think of anything.
You've been to ISD.
I've been to Uganda. What?
International Space Disney.
Oh yeah.
That'd be crazy.
A
roller coaster within a space station.
They do not have blood huts or molasses huts on the ISD.
Yeah, the most interesting ride in the ISD is the gravity chamber.
Yeah. And
it's the only room where you can walk on surfaces.
To make it more familiar and comfortable and more Earth-like, and they also project out human screams.
Because normally you wouldn't be able to hear those in space.
Right. Exactly. Yes. I'm glad we are on the same page with that one.
There is one way that you can hear somebody scream in space.
And
this is actually legit. So if there's two astronauts out, like say working on like the outside of the ISD, they're fixing some sort of a panel on the ISD. And for whatever reason, radio communication breaks down. They can't communicate with each other.
Okay.
One way that they can actually talk, because obviously if they were just trying to scream at each other, the vacuum of space would not make that happen. Plus they're in their spacesuits. So what they can actually do is if they touch helmets and their the glass of their helmets is touching, they can actually
would it be the vibration?
Yep, because you can communicate with through the vibration. They'd be able to hear each other talk. So just picture that. Two astronauts touching helmets.
I try to do that when I'm passing by other motorcyclists, when I'm on my motorcycle.
Like going like next to each other or towards each other?
Passing by. Like
head on. You try to... Yeah. Okay, you try to touch helmets.
I've been to the hospital over 700 times.
It's like face jousting.
Yeah. Because really, there's no way you could say something to them in passing normally if you kept your distance, because it's so fast and your motorcycles are loud. There's the road noise. There's the wind noise. It's impossible.
And it's a common fact that most people who ride motorcycles don't know sign language.
Right.
Yeah.
Or if they do,
it's not American Sign Language.
They seldom. Oh, I was going to say they seldom use it because they're trying to, maintain control of the motorcycle.
There's that too.
Yeah, but I've been to the hospital.
The only thing they'd be able to really do is because a lot of sign language takes both hands. So the only thing they'd be able to do is try to spell something at you really fast.
Really fast, yeah.
And watch out, don't face joust me.
Move your head.
Yeah.
And especially when
you're in the wrong lane.
When that's being thrown at me in non-American sign language, I just don't know what to do with it.
Right. So instinct kicks in and you just stick your face out.
I said, you know what? The quickest way to get this message across is just to face shield.
He wants to talk.
Oh, he wants to check. He wants to talk.
And there's no easier way to get somebody to stop and talk to you than to smack into their face and knock them off their bike. Right.
Yeah. But the big irony is that by the time that's all done with and we kind of get up and reorient ourselves, we could just stand next to each other and take our helmets off and have a normal chat.
Right. But, if you wouldn't have done what you did, you would have never had that opportunity to have that conversation.
Yeah. No. Right. Yeah. I made the first move.
Right.
Yeah. I stuck out my hand for a shaking.
Hand for a shaking.
And it got shook.
Oh, yeah.
So do you want to get into this question?
I found one question that I thought could possibly have interesting answers to it. I don't suggest anybody look up fun questions to ask people off the air. They're just mostly stupid.
Yeah, I've tried looking that up. I've tried looking up, which you've also done, but sort of would you rather stuff. And
yeah,
you even try to look up ones that claim to be strange, and maybe it's just us that
they're just
maybe we're the problem. But we're looking at some of these. I know I looked at some of them and thought, this is not. I was hoping for more strange than this.
Right.
This is pretty tame.
I guess probably the typical public would probably be like, "This is the craziest thing in the world," and me and you are just like, "This is lame. This is normal. This makes sense to me."
Whoever thought of this is a demon?
Yeah, like this is a perfectly logical question to ask somebody. And we should probably be in a French mental institution.
Yeah.
So there's one question that I thought I was just kind of curious as to what kind of answers you could possibly come up with this, because I feel like there could be a multitude of possibilities for this question. And the question is, how many...
set me up for failure.
Yeah, how many chickens would it take to kill an elephant? So, think of all the different ways you could, are we talking the chickens are, how many chickens would it take to physically attack and kill an elephant? Or are we talking about how many chickens would it take for the elephant to eat before it died? How many, you're using chickens as some sort of a weapon? Are you shoving chickens into a wood chipper? And how many chickens hitting an elephant from flying out of a wood chipper would it take to kill an elephant? I mean, I've given you way too many examples already.
So when you said, in your second scenario, are you saying that you're feeding chickens to an elephant, and then how many chickens would an elephant have to eat before it died from eating too many chickens?
Yeah, either how many would it have to eat before it died from eating too many chickens, or if you're force feeding live chickens to an elephant.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
I'm assuming the question means in a fight, how many chickens would it
probably,
take?
Well,
but that's
I mean,
boring.
I would even say that what the question is posing is even more boring, which is how many, let's say the elephant was completely docile. How many chickens would it take to kill the elephant? I mean, if the elephant is fighting back, the number goes up. I don't know that.
Yeah, what's the state of is this a free range elephant? Is this a captive elephant? Is it a zoo elephant? Is it a circus elephant? It's chained up somewhere.
Let's go with it.
What kind? Is this a baby elephant?
This is an adult wild elephant.
A bull?
Sure.
Got tusks?
Let's give it the best chance.
Okay. This is a full-grown, African elephant.
Full-grown African elephant.
I think the African elephant is the largest. I could be completely wrong. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Either way. So, biggest elephant, bull, tusks, best chances. How many chickens?
Now we're talking straight up American chickens, like what you think of.
Yeah, let's say, not roost. And these aren't roosters. These are chickens.
Hens. These are hens. Okay. Well, I guess it would all depend on their method of attack. So if they're just going up melee, or not melee, they're just using their own extremities.
Right.
Their talons and their beaks and their wings. Yep. I mean, the elephant could they'd have to come in waves, because if they're all charging at the elephant at once, the elephant could just swat a lot of them away with its trunk and probably step on a lot of them. So there would have to be a very strategically timed second wave of chickens that would be able to get past those defenses after the initial swing. Let's say he swung his tusk at a bunch of chickens and knocked them away. Before the elephant has a chance to swing back at a second round, that second wave of chickens would have to get in and start. I mean, I guess the best thing would be to, I don't know if they would start jumping up and pecking at the legs. I mean, they can't maintain. Here's the thing with chickens, it sucks because you can't have an aerial attack. You could fly a little bit and maybe get to a certain height, but you can't stay up there. You can't do you can't do dives down at an elephant.
I'm thinking
out of its reach.
Yeah, I'm thinking it's gonna literally have to be a swarm, not just a flock. It's got to be a swarm of chickens for the elephant to even start to care. Because the elephant's it's got a thick skin, so the talons and beaks of a chicken are not going to really probably bother it much as they start to peck at the ankles and things. The elephant's just going to keep walking and not care.
Yeah. I would say, as far as a small number of chickens, the only way that any chickens, if it was a smaller number, could have a chance is if they were able to get themselves perched onto the tusks.
Right. So they're going to have to get to higher ground.
Well, a chicken might be able to fly itself up to a tusk level. Especially if the elephant is trying to swing its trunk down toward the ground to swat some of the way, they might be able to fly themselves up to the tusk. But I think on the tusk itself is where the elephant would have the least amount of options.
Are chickens good? Are chickens good at perching?
I don't think chickens are good at anything. except being slaughtered
Being
for
food.
food.
Providing food out of their butts.
Yeah.
Not really their butts.
If it's straight up a chicken, an unassisted chicken attack, I would have to guess that it would take a good 2,000 chickens.
Okay. I would say that's decent.
I think if you had that many chickens and it was a constant like onslaught, I don't think that the elephant, unless the elephant was stepping on any of them, I don't think that the elephant would be able to do enough damage to take any one particular chicken or group of chickens out for the fight entirely.
Right.
So yeah, a chicken could get swatted away and roll away for a bit, get up, shake itself off, and head back in. I think it's going to take a few whacks with the trunk to maybe knock it unconscious or something.
Yeah, unless it gets a really good like side of the head shot and that like jostles the neck enough to like break it or whatever. But even then, the chicken might still be, even with a broken neck, might still be coming.
Probably
a floppy head.
It might not be going in the right direction at that point.
It's gonna think it is though.
Yeah. Now
because if they do anything, if the chickens do enough to get the elephant down, like if they get it tripped up somehow and it gets onto its side, then they'll just hogpile the shit out of it and just peck it, and then eventually,
Yeah. I mean, then you go straight for the heart and stomach area and just get the guts out.
Right.
You have a better chance of doing that than
soft underbelly.
Yeah. I mean, so to do that, they'd probably have to sort of, Empire Strikes Back, Hoth.
Oh, there you go.
Go after the AT-ATs and run some cable around the legs.
Right.
And then a couple more fly up and like knock into its side.
Right.
To tip it over.
So if the chickens can get a hold of some rope.
Yeah.
And quickly run around. There's some strategic chickens. They're attacking in waves. They're flanking. They're using rope.
Yeah.
They're gaining high ground. They're perching on tusks and pecking out eyes.
I mean, I can bring it down to 2 chickens taking down an elephant, where one of them has a tank of kerosene and the other one has a torch.
True.
I mean, that's it. The one with the torch is distracting the elephant with the torch. The elephant could either be mesmerized by the torch or maybe be afraid of it. I don't know. I guess
I could get it down to 1 chicken.
Okay, 1 chicken scenario.
1 chicken, and he's operating a drone.
So this is a heavily armed drone?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Or do you want to wait for the elephant to yawn?
It could even be a surveillance drone because Have you seen the Army's drones? I'm talking about an army drone. Oh yeah,
okay,
yeah.
I've not seen
those things are like the size of a plane. Those are huge.
So how isn't it just a plane?
It's
the helicopter. It's the propellers, right?
The maneuverability. I'll show you what a drone looks like after we're done recording. But they look like they shouldn't be as big as they are, but they are huge. Because you'd think it's like, it's just this surveillance thing that flies around. It's probably it's probably the size of like a small car maybe or something. But these things are. But yeah.
So hold on.
An army drone operated by a chicken. 1 chicken. Boom. Done. Or a chicken with a chicken driving a tank.
Okay, so that brings a question of a rule that do we need to establish a rule that if a chicken uses a drone to kill an elephant, then is it the drone that killed the elephant and not the chicken? Like if the chicken drove over an elephant with a tank or blasted it with a tank,
right? Is
it the tank that killed the elephant or the chicken?
Well, I can ask you the same question of is it the kerosene being lit on fire that killed the elephant
you're right.
versus the chicken?
Right. I'm applying it to my own suggestion.
Okay. So if we take out the fact that these chickens are using
various weapons
and other means to kill, they're still enacting the fact that the elephant is dying.
They are causing the death of the elephant. So
technically, they still have killed it.
Yeah.
Because it's like if you when you go out to kill dogs, it's been a while. When you go out on your murderous dog rampages, if you're using a gun or a knife, you're still killing the dog. You're not saying the knife killed the dog.
True, yeah, that wouldn't hold up in court.
Yeah, it's not like when they put the whatever, I don't know, John Wayne Gacy or whoever the serial killers, when they put them on trial, it's not like he would be on the stand and say like, well, I didn't kill them, the knife did, or the rope that I strangled them with is what really killed them.
The funny thing is, for your bad news,
my muscles.
My muscles did it. For your bad news, instead of writing that you stomped on your neighbor's aquarium, I was gonna write that you stomped on a dog, but I thought that was a little too much.
Well, you didn't say that I killed any of the fish. I just stomped on and into the aquarium. So
Right, you
But
took
yeah.
down their little castle.
yeah.
Yeah.
Which, let's be honest, they couldn't afford it.
I know. They're
Just
more.
gotta-
I mean, but now they don't have it, and they still have to pay it off. They can't. I mean, I guess you could claim.
Well,
is there
insurance? Yeah.
insurance? Would that cover a human stepping on that? Like, is stomping?
I
covered?
think in the world of a fish, that could be considered a natural disaster.
True. Yeah.
Like, we didn't have our giant coverage.
I mean, they have that. Monty Python had that coverage in their plan.
Did they?
Yeah.
Okay.
Covered giant foot squashing.
So yeah, that
I
was
mean-
the one kind of weird, interesting question that I had. I mean, I barely glanced at that list, and that one was one that just kind of stood out as like, what do you mean? How many chickens? There's so many different scenarios of how chickens could kill an elephant.
I know
Yeah,
they could.
So
They could tie it up and rig it to a pulley system, lift it up to the height of a tall building, and just release the rope and let it drop down to the ground.
right.
But then the only question there is how many chickens would it take to tie up the elephant, and how many would it take to pull the rope?
Well,
to
that's
lift
the
the
thing
elephant?
because chickens don't have thumbs.
Right, they would
it's
they would
been
all
well
pull by their
documented.
beaks. They pull by their beaks.
Right. Well, I mean, I'm saying
Yeah.
to tie the rope.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
they tie
I mean,
by
they'd
their
have
beaks.
to. That's the thing is they'd have to buy pre-tied ropes.
What if they
which-
hired a Boy Scout to tie the knots? One that freshly earned
Okay.
its knot tying badge.
Right, or was trying to earn it. That's
Right.
the best way.
This is the way to earn the badge.
Yeah, you want to earn your badge? Come help us kill this elephant.
Yeah.
You can
Oh, and
get
this
2
badge
badges.
here. This badge here, yeah, I got from assisting a band of elephants or a band of chickens
Right,
by tying up an elephant so they can murder it from a.
and this
from
is
a-
this is my ivory poaching badge.
Yep.
This is my rope tying badge. This is my chicken friendship badge.
And this is the tent pitching badge that my scout leader helped me get. Well, this has been another episode of High School Famous, everybody.
Thank you.
Hey, reach out to us, HS Famous Pod on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram. You can email us at highschoolfamous@gmail.com. If you think we're awesome enough that we shouldn't be free, you can donate to our Patreon at patreon.com/highschoolfamous. And we're available wherever you're listening to us now. Why should I say where we're available?
Right.
You're already listening.
If you haven't been listening to this at this point,
Start
you can
now.
you can find us various places.
And yeah, hopefully, I don't think we need to know any more about Rosco, do we? Do we think we need? I mean, we could always
I
try to
think-
determine which one of the two it was.
I mean, if we can narrow it down, then maybe there might be more. If not, I think we might have a happy ending to that. Well, not a happy ending, but an ending to that chapter.
An
Nonetheless.
ending, yeah.
Yeah. So we'll see if we hear more from Larry.
Big Larry, yeah, we'll see. I'll let you know. Well, I'll wait for your guys' feedback and input on the letter, and then I'll send it off, and then so give it a few weeks. I'll keep checking to see after that if I get a response from Larry.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. Bye.
If you like us, we're on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram as HS Famous Pod. Email us at highschoolfamous@gmail.com. If you really love us, consider donating to our Patreon at patreon.com/highschoolfamous. Remember, we love you and want to have your babies.